everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my 6-month Livewire update. So I've had it for 6 months. I am almost at 8,500 miles and I am extremely pleased with the Livewire. Everything about the Livewire has been pretty much stellar. Zero issues aside from a couple little minor hiccups, and that's it. Let's just start out with like the riding experience. What's it like? Well, I had talked about previously in my Livewire video about how it has so much power I won't even go into sport mode. That's changed a little bit. Now I have custom mode where I have everything turned up. So I have torque and top end and regen just full blown 100% across the board. And that it still feels like a roller coaster. 6 months later, when I hit the throttle, it still feels like I'm being launched on a massive coaster at a major theme park. It is so quick. It is unbelievably quick, where every single time you hammer that throttle when you have everything turned up, the front wheel comes off the ground. Not by a lot. You're not doing a wheelie every time. You can if you want to, but it doesn't, like the front tire comes up, I'd say like an inch or two every single time. And if you were to yank up and turn off traction control, you could wheelie this thing all day long. It's kind of bonkers. It's way heavier than the Zero. Like, I know that's obvious, but at one point I thought the Zero was like the heaviest thing in the world, and it's only like 320 pounds or something like that. The Livewire is 540 pounds, and it's a heavy beast, but that goes a long way into the stability of the bike itself. This thing feels planted. It is square. It is sturdy. When you are riding, you can feel the confidence of the motorcycle. It's like, hey, I got you. Do your thing. And 100%, I love it. I absolutely love it. There's different riding modes. I've got caught in the rain a couple times, and I wasn't afraid. On the Zero, I was afraid to get wet at all, just because it was my first electric motorcycle and I just didn't want to deal with it. But when I originally took this home, it was pouring rain. You know, so it was in the back of the trailer just getting soaked, and it was totally fine. So I've got caught in the rain a couple times and I didn't really have to worry about it. So it performs very well. Every time I do that though, there's so much torque, I would not want to even remotely touch the throttle in like the custom mode that I have, or sport mode. So I always put it in rain mode. The throttle response is super easy. It is very chill. When you let off, there isn't any real regen. You know, you can hammer it and it just so smoothly just goes up to speed. So it is just such a wonderful experience to ride this motorcycle, pretty much in any mode and anything that you're doing. It's the first motorcycle I've had that has cruise control. That has been a lifesaver, especially when I'm doing like my helmet cover antics and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I can just take my hands off and just let it do its thing while I'm doing my thing. So it's a lot of fun. Very convenient, to the point where I went back on the Zero a couple times and I'm like, ah, man, you know. The turn signals I've gotten a little used to. I still hate the idea of having such a powerful bike have the turn signal access by my right hand next to the throttle, where I have to like carefully position my hand. You know, whatever I'm doing, I have to be cautious of that, and I have to be very leery about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it while I'm reaching for a turn signal. Don't like that still, but I've gotten a little more used to it. The self-canceling, the right one specifically, is so much harder to cancel than anything else. You can just hit the button, but a lot of times, you know, these are self-canceling. So a lot of the times, you know, I'm waiting for it to just kind of shut off and it just stays on. The left one isn't so bad. You just dip it and it's totally fine. So I don't know what's going on with that. I love the screen. I love the information on it. I love that I can see like what music track is playing, the battery temperature, the battery health overall, what mode I'm in, navigation. I have not tried navigation yet. I usually just, if I'm gonna do navigation, I just have my phone. I have a quad lock phone mount and I just have it there, so I don't even have to worry about that. So I haven't really tried that. The Bluetooth connectivity is an issue. I haven't had that much trouble with it, but there's people in the Livewire groups and subreddit that have issues pairing their phone to the bike. I have an S21 Ultra. I've never really had issues with anything. The only thing I have is like, you know, sometimes it just won't recognize the phone, so I have to forget the device and then repair it. But usually it's good to go for like another month before I have to do anything again. The charging, that one is a completely different experience from the Zero. I got this down to 6% one day. I cut it real close, and it took about 12 hours to charge. My Zero, I'm used to plugging it in, you know, when it's down to like 40%, and it almost feels like in a couple hours, it's almost like at 80% or something. So, you know, I have to get used to it. I plan ahead a little better, and that's what you have to do with electric motorcycles anyway, or electric vehicles in general. You kind of have to plan ahead. Hey, I'm going to be riding or driving over here. You know, it's going to take, you know, this much battery, or it's going to take this long to get there. You know, let me plan my route or plan ahead and make sure that the vehicle's charged. That's all I can really say about that. When you ride electric, you really have to plan around your vehicle. You can't just, I'll stop at the gas station, you know what I mean? Unless you have a DC fast charger. So this has a level 1, level 3 charging. Level 1 is just plugging it at home. It takes the longest. Like I said, it took 12 hours from 6% to 100%. If you had a DC fast charger located near you, you can just plug it in, doesn't matter, it's gonna be charged in an hour. So no big deal there. But you can only do that every like 3 or 4 charges so you don't damage the batteries. There's no level 2 charging. So if you were to go to a level 2 charger, plug it in, it's still gonna charge a level 1 pace. Again, that's another downside to the Livewire, but I don't know if I mentioned previously in another video that I am disabled. I can't ride very far regardless. I think the most I've done in a day would have to be like 120 miles, and I was done for a week. There is no way I could get back on anything. You know, if you're wondering like, hey, you're disabled, how can you ride a motorcycle? Swinging a leg over this is easier than driving the truck. Instead of like lifting myself up, getting in the truck, you know, and turning, this is so much easier and it feels a lot better than it does with the truck. So if I can, I take the motorcycle. It's not just about joyrides, this is how I commute as well. The tires, they are the Michelin Scorchers. Love these tires. I absolutely love it. I love the look. I love the grip. They give me a lot of confidence when I'm going to a turn. There's a specific turn in town where I can get a super hard lean in because it goes up and makes like a cute turn. And man, I just take it, no problems. Never have any issues. Unlike the Zero where it does feel a little sketchy when you're leaning after a certain point. Both of them have a 45-degree lean angle, but it feels like I've gone beyond that sometimes. So I don't know. It just feels great. I have full confidence in these tires. The feel of it does make more noise than the Zero. The Zero feels a little quieter, I think because it doesn't have the power come on as strong at first. So I don't think it makes that initial like, you know, burst of noise. This, you can hear it. And it's funny to watch people react to it. Like they don't hear me at first, but then I hammer it, you know, and they're just like, whoa, what the hell is that noise? You know what I mean? Like it's just like a Tron sound, but it is definitely a little loud. And when you're going kind of like low speed and you have the throttle just like going just a touch, it makes this really weird kind of like, nothing's wrong with it. It's just giving power and cutting power very quickly in order to kind of match like how much throttle you're giving. And it's not bad. It's just kind of like a weird sound. People get thrown off by that. I love the styling of this. I've have a tank bag that I've put on here that I have a tire plug kit and like a side, you know, rescue kit almost with first aid, tire inflator, and all that stuff. And good thing that I have it because I've gotten a flat on both the front and the rear tire. Both of them have been screws. One of them was very large, but I was able to just do it. Luckily, I got home both times. I was reversing it in, and it felt really heavy both times. And I was like, is that a flat? Next morning, sure enough, it was flat. But with the tire plug kit and the tire inflator, no problems. And I've gone full speed on both plugs, and it's been fine. So, like I said, these tires are amazing. I love it. I haven't had any overheating issues or anything of that nature. you know, and I've given this thing the beans, and I've done quite a bit with it and never had any issues. Probably because there's 3 different types of cooling on here. You have cooling fins. This isn't just one gigantic block of batteries. There's actually a center channel for air. That's what these scoops right here are for. They channel air in the middle of the batteries, and it's also liquid cooled. So yeah, I love the turn signals. I love the rear swing arm here, or the bar, the rear, like where the plate holder is. I like that look. A lot of people seem to delete that. They don't like it. I love that look. I don't know what it is. It just, I don't know, just a cool styling choice in my opinion. I like it. I'm gonna hold on to it for now. The front cowl where the headlight is, I didn't realize it just pops off. I was trying to wrap the bike, and I wrapped the tank, and the tank is great. If you're gonna wrap this or do anything, it's great because these are 3 separate pieces and they can just come apart. And I ended up wrapping the tank, and I thought it looked good. It's my first time ever wrapping something. I thought I did a good job for that. Now the cowl is a different story. I thought I had to unscrew a bunch of stuff, so I started unscrewing and I accidentally like pulled just to see, and it just came off, and I was like, I didn't have to do anything. So yeah, the front cowl being able to pop off gives it a completely different look. And I do like that. Another downside, while we're talking about the headlight area, the headlight on it, in theory, it looks good when you're looking at the headlight. The actual light projection that it gives, I hate it. It's in the shape of an eye, and you have light on the bottom and the top, but like almost nothing in front of you. And it's very, not disorienting, but it's not very confidence inspiring when it's dark out, you know, pitch black. Even with the high beams on, it still looks like an eyeball. That's the shape. I wish, just give me a straight concentrated beam. If that's what you're going to do, at least let me have that. It's better if you have the front cowl off. You get a little bit more light because it's not, you know, the light that's projecting where the cowl should be, you know, it helps illuminate everything. So I like it without the cowl on there at night. But we'll see. And I'm gonna have to actually start having the cowl off at night because I have Halloween decorations. Like I'm gonna put something on the front, like a skull mask. So riding during the day is gonna be with that on, and at night I'll just take the cowl off. So another thing that is very interesting is the key fob. This is really the only issue I've ever had with the bike. It happened to me a handful of times. What happens is, you will shut off the bike and you'll go somewhere close by, and then when you come back to the bike and turn it back on, it'll give you an error saying, you know, like call service, and you won't be able to move, you know, to start the bike or any of that thing or any of that stuff. And what you have to do, what solved the issue for me, is I turn off the bike and I'll look at the app, and then I'll go far enough away, you know, I'd say maybe about 20 or 30 yards, wait there a minute, and then come back and turn it on. I think what's happening is the key fob's not going far out enough to kind of undo the, you know, like the distance. It's supposed to sense when you're 5 feet away, and it's supposed to arm itself and all this other stuff, but I found that a couple of times it's given me that issue. And it's just a relatively simple fix, and I haven't had that issue in quite some time, so maybe they pushed out an update, or maybe it just recognizes like my patterns of how far I go, or whatever. I don't know. It's done. It's good to go now. One thing that I did do, if you see this cord right here, this is basically, I just put an LED strip on this side on the inside to give it this cool kind of like rainbow look. You know, there's not much I can do about hiding the wire. But one thing I did do is, this does not come, this comes with an alarm, but there's no audible part of it. So what happens is when you turn it off, it just flashes the lights, you know, a couple times, and that's it. If somebody messes with the bike, it'll flash a couple times and then just permanently flash until you come out and deal with it. Now there's a sound module that you can get, and the good thing is that it fits most Harleys. So this sound module isn't exclusive to the Livewire, so it's not very expensive. I picked mine up for about 60 bucks. It was super simple to put in. On the back of the, where the motor is down there, there's couple little screws, you pop them off. There's a little cable in there. You pop the cable into the alarm, put the alarm in the little box, screw it back on, you're done. And now there is an audible kind of chirp when you shut off the bike. And if you mess with the bike, it'll chirp a couple of times. And if somebody's still messing with it after that, it's a very, very loud alarm, which I'm grateful for. So I'll shut it off here and you'll hear it beep a couple of times. And right there, that's armed, but not when you're close to it with the key fob. You know what I mean? Nothing's gonna happen if you mess with it. But if I were to walk away or put the key fob away from me, it's super loud. I'm not gonna do it on camera. I've done it twice to test it, and it's insanely loud. I don't wanna bother my neighbors. I like the seat. One of the crazy things about the differences between this and the Zero, the seat is much lower than the Zero. The Zero, when I first get on it after riding this for a while, it feels like I am like, oh man, I'm gonna lean like this, but you're still high up. I don't know, it's very weird. But this sits a lot lower, and the riding position is much more aggressive, much more than the Zero. The Zero almost feels like, oh, how quaint, what a day we're having today. You know, whereas on this, I have to be a little more spread, and I'm a bit more leaned forward. It makes a huge difference. Another weird thing about the bike, when you plug it in to charge it, you can hear the pump going to kind of like to cool the batteries, and it starts balancing the batteries. It's kind of loud. It sounds like somebody's like pouring a bucket of water on the floor. It's pretty loud. Same when you start it and start the engine. There's a kind of loud, audible, like water pouring sound that comes out of it. But yeah, one of the best things about the bike, actually, let me cover the mirrors. The stock mirrors that come with this are way too far inwards. I had to really tuck my elbows in order to see behind me. A lot of people, what they do is they invert it. So they just basically, they swap them and put them underneath so that you don't have to worry about elbows or anything like that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't really like that look. So what I ended up doing is they have mirror extenders that'll fit any Harley, or most Harleys, and you can get them on Amazon. I think I bought, it was like $11 or something of that nature. And put them on, great, works awesome. You know, only once in a while do I have to like kind of tuck in, but it's worked out really, really, really well. One of the best things about the Livewire, and it was one of the best things about the Zero and riding electric in general, I get so many people who ask, what is that? Or that looks cool. What's going on? You know, like they're just totally confused. I've scared quite a few people by just rolling up next to them, and they don't realize that I rolled up next to them, and they just go, oh, you know what? And the conversations that you get to have, and the different people and different backgrounds of motorcycle riding and enthusiasm that you get to experience while riding this is awesome. And when I tell people, I don't explain the whole backstory of the Livewire. What I do, I just say, hey, Harley makes this. It's super simple. You know what I mean? It gets the point across, and people are just like, wait, are you serious? Harley makes an electric? And they have no idea. And I educate them, and they're always blown away by the stats and the specs and everything. And then, you know, a lot of them are just like, hey, I want to see you, you know, and I do it, and they're just like, what? So that's been one of the coolest things. I get to have so many cool conversations with people. I get to meet so many different riders, so many different people who are curious about motorcycles or electric motorcycles, and they, you know, because I live in a small town, so there isn't a lot of people who are kind of enthusiasts when it comes to technology. You know, there's some Teslas and stuff, and I think there's been a Mach-E around here, but that's as far as it goes. So people seeing an electric motorcycle, it's definitely almost a first for them, unless they've seen me on the Zero. Fun story, I stopped at a Dollar General, and some guy was like, oh man, electric and all this. I was like, yeah. He's like, there's another guy who rides on another electric motorcycle. I think it's a Zero. I was like, yeah, that's me. He's like, no, this guy's like a little Chinese boy, little Chinese guy. And yeah, it says Zero. And I was like, that is me. I have a Zero as well as this. It was just a funny story. The guy was just like, oh. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. It's a completely new experience for me. Like I said, I've been riding the Zero, and that's been wonderful. 26,000 miles. I mean, that's crazy. And in almost 4 years, which is nuts because that totals out to that averages about 8 grand, 8,000 miles a year. And I've done that in 6 months on this. It's just crazy. Another thing too, the Zero feels like there's battery degradation going on, but that's only because this battery is bigger and the efficiency of the Livewire is head over heels better. It's just so much better than the Zero. So when I go back to the Zero and I do my loop around town, the battery is way more used up than it is when the Livewire. Like I said, this is way more efficient. So it just feels like that. Like it's just crazy how different the Livewire is compared to the Zero. And again, I've had a really, really good time with the Livewire. I've enjoyed the experience through and through. Yeah, so that's about it. If you guys have any questions about the Livewire or the Zero, or I've been getting asked questions about beginner riding tips and what gear I use, so I may be doing a couple videos on those, so be on the lookout for those. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you want to see any more of that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the love and support, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.